Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Curry Parker. Welcome to the Understanding Human Design podcast. And today I am excited to be having what I think is going to be a really fun conversation with quantum human design specialist Kristen Toscano. So welcome, Kristen. I'm excited to have you here.
Thanks. I'm really excited to be here.
Cool. So you and I had a conversation, and I just want to sort of set the stage now before we get rolling. That we might cry, okay? We might cry, and it's okay, because we know if we cry on this podcast, it's because our hearts are open, and we're talking about truth with a capital T, as I say to my 12-year-old. So you have a passion for bringing play into human design, which I love, because when we talk about human design, I don't know if it's because it's originally a European topic, or if it's just got so much around it that's really mental. I think sometimes when we talk about human design, we take it so darn seriously that we forget that it's really fun to be who you are. There's a playful exploration. So talk to me a little bit about why you decided to land on the idea of playing and experiencing your design versus learning about it and being able to recite the parts of your chart back.
Yeah. So it's funny because I have the defined ajna. So I do hold a lot of the human design information. It comes really easily for me. But I found for myself, the magic really happened when I got out of my head, got into my body, and started to go out and explore with it. And it helped me reconnect to all of my Leo energy, which is all about fun. And so that's what I really love sharing with my clients.
I love that. Two Leos on a podcast talking about play and fun, right? Okay, good. So, all right. I totally agree with you. I have a really hard time sometimes with the system when people take it take it so seriously that they forget that there's joy here. It's in the chart. Joy is in mastery. That there is play here. There's creativity. There's imagination. When half of the chart has emotional definition, and that emotional definition brings with it creativity and the potential for lightheartedness. So I love that you're bringing us back to that. So I have to go back to what made us cry. And so I'm not trying to expose you here, but you just shared with me at the beginning of our conversation that your grandmother just turned 91.
She turns 90 today.
90. Wow. All right.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what I shared was she was diagnosed with a heart condition when she was 35. Mm-hmm. And at that point, she was told that no one with this diagnosis had made it to 40 at that point. And so she was put on beta blockers and all these medications that were experimental. She had I think her first angiogram in the early 1960s.
Wow.
Yeah. And so to be celebrating 90 is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think helped your grandmother defy those odds?
Gosh, she's incredibly strong. I think her connection with my grandfather initially, they were, they just had a beautiful love story. And the part that makes me cry is that we lost him 23 years ago. And while she's lived such a full life and she's always been very active and loved being with family, when we lost him, she also lost part of herself. And really, there's been periods of time over these last 20 years. And I noticed it with my great grandmother, her mother as well, who lost her husband, I think in his 40s, that they kind of lost some of that connection to themselves and what really lit them up. And that's part of my passion of making sure women understand what really brings them joy and lights them up, so that when these things happen or we face these challenges, that we still have some part of ourselves to move forward with.
And I think that is so profound, especially, and I don't want to only focus on human design through the lens of women, but when I look at our community, 80 to 83% of the people in our community are women. And there is sort of, and this doesn't mean that it doesn't happen to men, but it happens, I think, a little bit differently. I find that the bulk of my clients are sort of between the ages of like 48 to 65. And that it's a very powerful time, because kind of when you merge into that, early 50s, it's like your body's gone through all these changes. Your definition of who you are, because your body has changes. You're no longer a young woman, so to speak, which has a very different level of value in our culture, right? Your children, if you've had children, are starting to leave the nest. You're sort of sitting with, okay, I've done everything I should do. Now I want to do what I want to do. And of course, that's nicely sandwiched between Chiron at the end of the 40s and Saturn at the end of 50s, both, two energies in a life cycle perspective that are really pushing on you and asking you, are you sure you want to be authentic? Are you sure you want to live who you are? Are you going to leave your legacy? You're coming up on the do or die point. And, that whole giant evolution that happens at that point, I think really oftentimes forces women to have to confront, what have I given up? How much of myself have I lost in my nurturing, in my relationships, in my obligations? And if I am now really, without some of the limitations I had in my youth, really able to define myself in my body, the way my body works, the way I want to define for myself my beauty in the context of my own unique role that is separate from mother, wife, partner, whatever that might be, it's a really powerful exploration. And it's an exploration that I think, my God, if we're not doing this in a playful way, it could be depressing if you're not careful. And certainly, when we're doing that and pushing against societal norms at the same time, it's so powerful. I always go back to, I did, and this one will make me cry if I don't manage myself well here. I did a reading one time for a woman who was 76 years old. And at the end of our reading, she said to me, I feel seen. She says, I literally feel like I've been seen for the first time in my life. And I'm thinking, you're 76 years old. We shouldn't have to wait till we're 76 to be seen or to define for the world who we are. And so I really, hats off to you for doing this powerful, powerful work. So talk to me for just a minute about, how do you encourage people to play with their human design?
Yeah, so I love working in small groups. I think it's really neat to see the support that comes from having a powerful group of women support each other, kind of a lot of them exploring kind of the same themes. And the group that I have going right now, all three women have the same profile. They're all open sacrals, and they're all born in the same year.
Oh, cool.
So it's been, it's just so funny how divine, this grouping is. But we go through kind of each layer of the chart and start with a basic understanding, and then I give them home play. And they go out into the world, explore whatever it is that we're talking about that week. And then we come back together and we have these really amazing, deep conversations. Just like you said, where these women feel seen and start to feel validated in all of the things that they were feeling, but didn't really have words for. And I think just having that community support is really helpful as well. But like you said, I like to not take it so seriously that this really is just an experiment. Go out and explore and see what shows up. And I think part of that comes from, I spent so many years living in the shoulds, staying in clinical healthcare, even beyond when it was fun for me. And last year, when everything shut down, I kind of took a step back from functional health coaching. And my nieces moved in with us because no one knew what was going on at that time. My brother and my sister and brother-in-law were still working. So my nieces, who were 8 and 10 at the time, moved in with us. And that brought so much play and fun back into my life. And so that really helped cement, let's just make everything a game and see what shows up and not take everything so seriously.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And it goes so much into not just obviously the joy of being who you are, but it actually, supports us in tapping into deeper levels of creativity and expansion. So what a beautiful combination of play. I love that home play and human design. So what a great idea. So you work with small groups of women. And
Mhm.
I just want to let people know if they are feeling compelled to do some home play and to really look at the more expansive creative nature of their human design and look at it through the lens of creativity and exploration and play to check out what you're building with your business. So your website is kristentoscano.com. Now I'm going to spell that because it's a little bit different than how it sounds. So Kristen is Kristen, Toscano, Toscano.com. And of course, as always, you guys check up above in the show notes so that you have a written copy of the link to Kristen's website. And your program is called Life by Your Design. Do you have any last minute thoughts you want to share with us, Kristen?
Yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say is I was always one of those people that said I'm not creative. And I just want to thank you for really expanding kind of what I think of as creativity and helping me bring that to my clients as well.
I love that. Because I battle that all the time, and so let's end with a gentle reminder that if you are breathing, you are creative. You are creating a life right now through your consciousness, and your entire world is the canvas upon which you are painting. So you are creative, and give Kristen a shout out. Go find her website, kristentoscano.com. Check out Life by Your Design program and explore how you can play with your human design. So thank you for joining me today, Kristen. I really appreciate it. And keep playing.
Thanks, Karen. I really appreciate being here. And yes, let's play some more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.